pandemic in 2020. In 2020, message problem. In 2020, when the entire world was shattered rather, uh, due to the pandemic attack, our government basically ended up opening up few sectors for investment. And many of us, I think, also be vocal and criticize government. In these times when the pandemic is hit everybody, you are the one, I think you are now talking of inviting investors into the country. How would investors come? But I think the result is to be seen, I think, in next 2 years. And that is what I think is basically the validation of those industries which were opened up. Mining was opened up, defense was opened up, the financial sector was opened up, including insurance, among others. In my viewpoint, I think the government took significant amount of courage in opening up those sectors. In fact, I think created and launched PLI schemes, the production linked incentive schemes, wherein some 14 different sectors were opened up for investment in the country, and against which I think the incentives were given. In my viewpoint, I think that is a beginning. Today, we may have ended up attracting around 2 lakh crore worth of investment through PLI schemes in the country. The Apple of the world has already started sourcing from India the making of iPhones, among other. And so is the situation with the defense, so is the situation with many other areas where the investment has been attracted by the government by way of, I think, PLI schemes. On the other side, the last budget ended up, I think, providing for around 7.5 lakh crore worth of investment in infrastructure. Again, many people were skeptical about it. The government has a job to only announce numbers. How are they going to implement 7.5 lakh crore worth of investment program? Today, as we speak, I believe that I think somewhere around 75% of amount which they provided for at the beginning of the financial year is already being spent in infrastructure. In my viewpoint, this is the single largest important point which is responsible for India's economy showing the kind of growth which no other countries of the world is showing. The amount of money which the government is been spending on building the infrastructure, in creating the new industries and the projects through PLI schemes, is singularly responsible for attracting huge amount of investment from every corner of the world, including domestic markets. One is not surprised to see somewhere around 18,000-19,000 crore worth of mutual fund investment now happening into on a per month basis, out of which around 13,000-14,000 crore worth of investment coming through SIP. One is not surprised to see about $100 billion plus coming in by way of FDI and FPI investment from the foreign investors. And this is happening on a sustainable basis. So on one side, domestic investors are investing through mutual fund insurances, which is growing at around 20% rate of growth in the new business premium segment. On the other side, the foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment is also showing the robustness in form of inflow of money. So this government not only announced the projects, but also ensured that these projects do get the right kind of investors along with. And this is again, I think, more important point. In previous years, most of the governments came up with the initial proposals, but they never implemented those proposals. Today, I think the government has basically shown the character of implementing those proposals. This is the highlight of our country. This is, I think, the central theme of our investment talk today. Unless and until the economy is creating the opportunity, people will not bring money. That is simply understood. And to bring money, if you don't create enough amount of conducive environment, I think people will not bring money. In this case, conducive environment has been created in form of simplicity in laws, in form of, I think, attracting money through a very simple mechanism from the global investors. And more importantly, taking the opportunity for investing in bringing investors into the country by way of some of the larger projects. The freight corridor projects, which has been announced, initially two freight corridors were announced 2 years back. Now we already execute, or we are we are executing around six freight corridor projects. Bullet train project is under execution with 1% rate of interest loan taken from Japan for 50 years. Similarly, the other projects, including the projects pertaining to providing the real benefit to the masses in form of all the benefits, including the insurance benefit, crop insurance benefit, providing minimum support price on the crops that the farmers have produced, the insurance, the health insurance, all of them have actually, I think, started working as a mechanism for social security in a way, if you ask me. Manrega is basically having the allocation continuing, but at the same time against the employment. So that has also largely taken care of the population remaining employed vis-a-vis taking money only by way of, I think, Manrega scheme. And in the pandemic situation, providing food to everybody, which is continuing to this month itself, even after pandemic is over, they provided food to people, which not only took care of, I think, the wastage in the storage of food of 20%, but also ended up supporting the rural masses big time, which in turn, I think, has resulted in slowing down the migration of the rural masses from the rural areas to urban areas. So if you see the impact coming in, the impact is, I think, far more superior than what was probably announced in form of only numbers. The opportunity under G20 nations presidency and COP27 environmental change related advocacy that the Prime Minister is doing is once again, I think, the driver of growth in the country. The renewable energy segment is the next driver of growth along with the 5G. And I'm going to spend some time on both this particular subject because that will ultimately get connected with the investments schemes and the opportunity. My endeavor would be to connect dots at the macro level to micro level and creating the ideas for investors to invest into the markets. The renewable energy portfolio, which all of us are now aware about, is basically comprising of 4 different streams of alternate fuels. Currently, our fossil fuel segment includes crude oil and coal. Now we are talking about, I think, the alternate stream of fuel in form of hydrogen, in form of solar energy, in form of wind energy, and in form of the fuel created out of the agri waste, which is ethanol. Up till now, I think ethanol was seen as a byproduct from sugarcane. Now the ethanol is becoming a main product for many of the sugar companies. In fact, from about 550 crore liter of production reported in the last sugar year, in the coming 2 years, this ethanol production is expected to be somewhere around 1100 crore liters plus. And this is a game changer. In countries like Brazil, they already produce ethanol out of sugarcane. By not producing sugar, they straight away use the sugarcane juice and then ultimately get into the production of ethanol. This is once again, I think, a very, very systematic approach in reducing the import of crude oil, and on the other side, I think, making economy more environmental friendly. It is expected that by 2024-25, somewhere around 15% of India's requirement of fuel will be met through ethanol. And this is, I think, again going to be creating a significant amount of change. Already, India has achieved 10% mix in petrol and diesel of ethanol. And by 2025, this is expected to be 20% mix in petrol and diesel, which will not only bring down the pollution, but at the same time, the import cost will also come down to the country as a whole. The hydrogen and the green hydrogen is again an important subject. On one side, solar panel is producing power, on the wind turbines are producing power, and both these technologies have actually advanced in last few years, wherein the yield produced or the plant load factor now achieved on the wind side is as high as I think 45%, and in some cases, particularly when I think the turbines are onshore, uh, offshore, and on the other side, I think the other aspect of it is producing the higher amount of yield from the solar energy, which is uh, to the extent of around I think 26% from the same square feet of panel I think which has been installed. Now, which is about a good 20-30% higher than the conventional solar panel producing. And using this particular power of solar and wind to produce or to segregate hydrogen and oxygen and produce through electrolyzer process the hydrogen which can be used for static use. As we all know, hydrogen when it is used for the mobility use, I think it carries a risk, largely because of the inflammability that it possesses. But for the static use, for the industry as a whole, if hydrogen can be produced and used in the industry through electrolyzer process, I think this particular thing could make a big game change as far as I think the Indian industry's power cost is concerned. Give an example. Today, industry is spending around 12 rupees per unit as a power cost. Through green hydrogen, the cost of producing power is expected to come down to less than 3 rupees. Now, the 9 rupees saving that you will do is going to make a material difference to industry's fortune as far as I think their ability to uh, be competitive in the global market, and in turn, I think become more management of the cost. I think will become more affordable to the masses ultimately. Plus, our exports also could become much more uh, competitive going forward. And those companies who have already made some initiatives like L&T, NTPC, GAIL, and even for that matter, Reliance, Adani's, they are actually, I think, right now demonstrating through a small pilot project this entire approach of producing the hydrogen and bringing down the cost of electricity. As long as I think you're bringing it down for captive use, I think this is your saving. Imagine this entire hydrogen getting produced and supplied to grid. The grid receiving power at a cheaper cost. I think to the end consumer, this particular cost will come down big time. It is my understanding that if the power cost comes down by 3/4, then in such situation, the India's production efficiency, India's production competitiveness would probably big time change. And today, the situation is that not many countries of the world have moved as fast as India has moved into. Thanks to this government's initiative, I think we are far more ahead of many others in reaching our goal of becoming the hydrogen capital of the world. This is becoming an interesting era. Next 10 years, it will tell more about everything. Along with the production of power, when you are working on the storage technology, that is another important aspect. Today, we understand lithium ion as a source of storing power into our electronic devices, source of storing power into electric vehicles, and so forth, so and so forth. In my viewpoint, along with lithium ion, now the new technology which is waiting for commercial breakthrough is a sodium ion. Earlier case we talked about hydrogen being produced from water. Now, and this water is basically the sea water, from where you do the desalination, take out the salt or the sodium, and then use the valence water, and then again do the electrolyzer process and produce the power. So on one side, I think the sodium will get produced. On other side, the power will get produced. And through sodium ion batteries, this power will be stored for the purpose of mobility as well. In my understanding, the lithium ion power will be used in the electric vehicles, will be continued to use in the electronics. And I think for electric vehicles, I think under 500 kilometers worth of running, this would be more affordable to use lithium ion, even though lithium is in short supply. But the longer traveling distance would possibly mean that sodium ion would be the source of storing power going forward, including for commercial vehicles. So a lot of advantage I think will happen in form of technology breakthrough going forward. There is a new technology which is already meeting some kind of a commercial talk right now. Is called a new diamond technology, wherein the residual waste of uranium from the uranium power plants, nuclear based power plants, is being now used for the purpose of producing power and power these smaller devices, including electronic devices. This particular storage mechanism would sit inside the chips which we are using into electronic devices, and that would probably permanently solve the situation of either disposal of uranium, which is a waste uranium which has to be disposed of, and on the other side providing power to the gadgets. So in the storage area also a big revolution is in making, along with the power production. And these two industries, according to me, are going to be the next driver of attracting new investment into our country, our economy. So keep an eye on this particular opportunity as well. As I told you, I'm connecting macro to the sectors and then to the industry and the companies thereafter. So keep an eye on this particular aspect as far as opportunity goes. Another important aspect I think which one can possibly talk about in the area of energy storage and usage of stored energy is in the area of, I think, the battery swapping technology, particularly used for the automobiles. Today, due to the cost of battery, the electric vehicles are not as much affordable as if they should have been. Because in electric vehicles, you have an advantage of bringing down the number of parts which are used in running the vehicle. In those IC or internal combustion engine vehicles, the number of parts used versus electric motor put into the electric vehicle, they are significantly more. Electric vehicle motors, I think they bring down this particular possibility. Now, in a situation where battery cost remains high, even the electric vehicle has number of parts which are far lower, still the cost is not coming down. In my viewpoint, I think the world has already advanced to a technology wherein battery swapping has already started happening in places like China and in some other parts, including Netherlands and others. When the battery swapping technology comes in, it is my understanding that vehicle prices will come down to much lower level. Suppose today, if a two-wheeler is costing 80,000 to 1 lakh, or electric vehicle is costing between 15 lakh to 20 lakh, the battery component is anywhere between 40 to 50%. If you take the battery component out, the vehicle per se cost, I think, much lower. My understanding says that there will be a new stream of business activity which will happen with the battery swapping technology coming in, wherein the financer will finance the battery and make it available on a pay-per-use basis. Like currently petrol and diesel which you use in your fuel tank. A similar way, I think the battery plates would be available to you to fit into your vehicle. You use it, you pay for it, and you move ahead. So that means you don't incur the capital cost of battery. Capital cost of battery is incurred by the organization which is basically, I think, in the business of providing the battery swapping through a charge battery mechanism. This is one area where again I think a lot more things will come up. I'm just putting this point before you because in this point, two aspects are covered. One, the cost of electric vehicle will come down. And on the other side, the important aspect of it would be the affordability will be increasing because you are going to pay only on a pay-per-use basis. So this is an important aspect which is likely to deliver far more better results. One important area where I would like to communicate further on the subject of how the 5G is going to make the revolutionary changes, and then we can possibly talk about the benefit going to the industry out of it. I'll take one simple example and probably to drive this point of how 5G will make different kind of possibilities happen for the industry. Today, you imagine Reliance having their plants in Hazira, they're having their plants in Vadodara, they're having their plants in Jamnagar, in Patalganga, or any other parts of the country and the world where this refining and petrochemical plants are operating. As we all know, the feedstock to the finished product journey in case of Reliance per se is basically all integrated into one. And the finished output which gets produced may get produced from third location vis-a-vis the intermediate output that they produce by processing the crude oil. What I'm trying to say is that uh, when they start integrating these machines on their private network, which they are currently done already, you can actually program your production from one plant and provide that output to the another plant very seamlessly by way of making both machines talk to each other, which means your entire journey of entire logistic management of planning the production and selling it, I think would come down. This is again, I think, an important thing, which is a breakthrough, which is going to happen. I have taken an example of Reliance, but if you can probably see such kind of example traveling, it could travel to everybody in the country, including the supplier and the manufacturer and the customer in a seamless manner. Suppose if I am a customer of buying an automobile and if I place an order, back to back, I think this order will go to through my dealer to the OEM, and OEM in turn, I think, communicate back to the assembly part supplier or the vendors, and vendors in turn, I think, would source their raw material. So everybody would get connected through this entire chain of communication without making the planning efforts, which currently are significant because of the manual process which we are going through. Now, if this situation is materializing, which is not happening tomorrow, but the fact is that I think the process has already started, then in such case, the entire supply chain logistic will come down. And as a result of which, industry will become just-in-time industry. As a result of which, I think the cost of production will come down because pipeline inventory is coming down. And to all chartered accountants, I don't have to explain this particular subject more because you have been knowing how exactly the raw material to finished product cycle is working. Now, if this entire working process inventory coming down and the finished product is available to end consumer in a targeted manner, imagine, I think, how significant it would be as far as I think bringing down the cost of production is concerned. And according to me, I think through IoT process, machine learning process, and digital learning process, India is progressing so very fast that in next 2 to 5 years, I think we are going to see revolutionary changes happening in this area of activity. And this is again an opportunity for the industry in general, which probably I think is going to make more sense. So I'm trying to explain this particular use of technology in a very systematic manner for the investors, so that at least I think they can possibly spot the opportunity on a real-time basis. Simultaneously, we are progressing adequately well with the blockchain technology. Today, one example, if I can give, the depository services provided by the two depositories, the NSDL and CDSL, they are using blockchain technology from the day one. When you as a company go to the depository and make your shares electronic, they will admit your shares as electronic form and give you the token number. Thereafter, whatever transaction takes place of buying and selling, without physically moving those shares from the company's account, they are actually creating the ledger entries in different buyers and sellers as per the transaction. Which means today, if I am a Reliance shareholder, exactly one would tell that I think from which source I bought Reliance, and I think they can establish the entire trail. And I think the blockchain is in working in that case. Now imagine this same situation happening for banking industry with the new SEBI chairman has recently announced, in which she has said that the investors who are buying their shares, their payments will be directly collected from their bank account. And this money is with the bank. So from bank, that money goes into the investor account, or from investor account to the clearing corporation account, and clearing corporation to the person who bought or sold that particular investment. This entire thing happens, I think, in a value chain like this. This is once again going to be a major growth driver as far as I think the entire blockchain technology is concerned. Most of the people have confused blockchain with the what we call cryptocurrencies. But trust me, blockchain is not only cryptocurrency. Blockchain is the entire technology platform which is making its progress very systematically. And the opportunities are endless because when you communicate machine to machine, it is an endless opportunity. You are creating so much of safety. The other subject is the government has taken up in with the blockchain proliferation, which is likely to increase. The government has taken up the subject of creating the uh, digital currency, the e-rupee as they call it as. E-rupee is once again, I think, is holding a similar kind of prospects, which the UPI has been serving the country as. People would ask that today already the transactions are digital. What is the meaning of e-rupee? In my understanding, the physical currency which is in circulation, it is subject to a lot of manipulation. First manipulation aspect is holding. Second manipulation aspect of physical currency is cost of printing and circulating the currency, which is almost 15%. Third critical aspect of physical currency is in the area of fake currency, and which in turn I think can create huge amount of social problems as well. So all these problems, if they have to be converted into an opportunity, then it is a digital currency. In digital currency, the RBI would issue the currency to the banks, like they issue currency notes. And in turn, banks would be in a position to distribute that currency digitally to whoever their account holder is. And that account holder, in turn, I think making whatever payment and receipt of that currency will get traded into the entire blockchain, which would ultimately let RBI and the government know okay, where exactly the so and so number currency which they had digitally given has basically traveled. This is a phenomenal amount of breakthrough, and this has got a far-reaching impact in my understanding. What I am seeing is that if the blockchain is in operation, if digital currency is in operation, then possibility of we coming out of the debtors and creditors in the balance sheet will be completely going away. Today, because of I think whatever I have just now explained about the pipeline inventory and delay in the production, etc., has been the root cause of I think debtors and creditors in our system. Now, with the digital currency coming in and with the blockchain in operation, trust me, friends, I don't have to explain more to the chartered accountants this particular subject. Your entire debtors and creditors will probably will go away from your balance sheet. And today, a capital market is one where you are having a settlement happening on a T+1 and T+2 basis. We are heading into a situation where the settlements would happen on T+0 basis. That means on the same date of transaction, I think our buying and selling gets completed, and the transaction is also physically completed with the payments. This is the advantage of blockchain technology on the banking side. We already seen the advantage of blockchain technology on the depository of shares side. So this is a new era in which we are entering into, where industry also would have a significant amount of advantage coming in because of the blockchain. In my point, this is a kind of an opportunity that we are talking about. That if this kind of developments are taking place, where exactly we see the investment opportunity coming in, and I think that should be my last 10 minutes of talk, after which I think we can enter into some question answers. Having given this broader perspective, and before I get into, I think, the individual sector and the company talk, let me touch upon one important point which I am reminded about. The technology stake that the government has put across is phenomenal. No other country of the world has given this much of clarity about using the technology to its core level. Say, for example, I think we did talk about the UPI payments. We did talk about the digital currency. We are aware about the Aadhaar. Aadhaar has been the backbone of identifying every single person in the country. And building on Aadhaar, I think we are having UPI, we are having the digital currency, and soon we will be having the online network of digital commerce, ONDC as they call it as. What does it mean? Currently, your B2B supply and the buying of goods, your B2C supply of and selling of goods, maybe through Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever it is, they are all happening in a very close manner, where only few people in the system are taking advantage. Not everybody can become a merchant on Amazon platform. Not everybody can become a merchant on any other platform and sell their products. A small time guy is missed out. Through this ONDC network, it is expected that every single person, whoever may be, say for example, a housewife creating some kind of a artwork during her free time, she can also basically put across her store on the network, and ONDC platform will allow her to sell, and the buyer on the other side can buy without going through the likes of the organized retail stores like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Which means even the Amazon, Flipkart, GeoMart, etc. would be there in place, which means the smaller people would be in a much better position to do buying and selling among themselves without going through the requirement of, I think, creating the larger online stores for buying and selling of goods and services. To me, this is going to become a game changer. Something which we have seen in case of UPI payments of 10 trillion. I guess I think the ONDC would be, if not more, few many times more compared to what the UPI payment is to this country, as far as the trade and the goods exchange are concerned. This is an extremely positive direction that is happening. If I take you to the industry and probably I think bring you this particular subject of how the benefit will come to the industry. Trust me, I think one important underlying message is getting conveyed. Those companies which are integrating the technology framework into their operation will create size, will operate with sustainability, and will be the next driver of business growth in the economy. Which means the user of the technology would have disproportionately higher amount of growth compared to one who is not basically having the technology working in their favor. On one side, this is an opportunity. On the other side, I think this is going to be a major disruption era in which we have by default entered into. Though the government is taking maximum care of creating the SME and SME platforms and not allowing the small time merchants and the traders going off the scene, of the scene, it is equally important that this technology becomes more affordable and more operable. Then only I think those people will survive. Otherwise, I think they run a risk of losing their business to some of the larger entities. This is a threat also, and this is an opportunity also. Those companies which are having the advantage of using the technology and spending money on the technology will be the prime driver of growth in the economy hereafter. That is my strong conviction. Be it Nestle, be it Hindustan Lear, be it ABB, be it Larsen, be it Reliance, be it HDFC Bank, be it SBI, whoever they are, in my viewpoint, I think their ultimate requirement would be to use the technology backbone and deliver services to end customer, in turn make their business model work accordingly. In fact, in order to make this entire business model work on the technology platforms, as I see it, technology is becoming a service, which means that you and me who are buying any kind of technology related solution, we are paying it on the basis of pay-per-use basis. Today, there are many softwares available on a pay-per-use basis, like companies like Zoho. See, I'm just giving one example. There are many. Similarly, there are many services like Bloomberg, Reuters, etc. They are available on pay-per-use basis. Reliance Jio is basically developing the entire model on a pay-per-use basis. They are providing today the doctors' consultancy in the healthcare segment to the doctors by bringing them onto their platform, wherein they can use the consulting room on a virtual basis using the Jio framework and provide the consultancy to end patient from wherever he is coming in. This is the reality today. Similar such reality is in the area of agriculture, wherein the farmer is basically having the advantage of knowing the real-time price of the agri products. And on the other side, the actual buyer is paying that particular price. So to a greater extent, the optimum price has started flowing to the farmer, and the middleman's role has now reduced to only earning a small percentage of transaction commission called brokerage. Where in earlier days, I think this middleman used to end up eating 10-20% of the price out of the entire selling of agri products. Similarly, the situation in education, wherein one-to-many, I think, education framework has already started happening through likes of Baiju and everybody. Wherein on one side, I think you run a classroom on framework like Jio, and on the other side, I think n number of students sitting in that classroom and taking the advantage of it. Again, I think a big time opportunity. Similarly, gaming platform, similarly, e-commerce platform, similarly, media and entertainment platform. Today, you watch FIFA World Cup, you will be watching IPL. Everything is basically traveling through this entire network on which the information and the services are getting distributed. In my viewpoint, this is a game changer, actually, if you ask me. In fact, I think those of you closely study Reliance Jio, they would agree with me that Reliance Jio is no more a mobile phone company. They are actually, I think, a technology solution provider company. They use IT as a backbone and they provide the communication using IT as a backbone to the masses. So they are actually a technology solution company. They operate different blocks, about 14 to 15 different technology blocks they operate, including AR, VR, ML, DL, artificial intelligence, blockchains. They operate all of them and they provide solution in different verticals, 7 to 8 verticals on which they are already providing the solution. The end device can be either the desktop or a mobile phone, but the back end is, I think, this entire technology platform which you and me by default consuming it. We are paying the price for use, as we are all aware about it. So, in my viewpoint, I think we have already moved in that direction by default and we are progressing further. So, technology is going to be a big enabler. Technology is going to be a solution provider. Technology companies are going to be the driver of growth as far as we are concerned. We have already talked about how the technology companies using the 5G network would probably, I think, drive different verticals going forward, including industry and the machines talking to each other. In my viewpoint, I think this is going to be again a big game changer as far as I think the investors concerned, along with the renewable energy products or the fuel, the storage mechanism, the infrastructure-led spending in the economy and resultant services which are coming up due to that, they are all going to be the next level of growth drivers in the economy. In fact, the technology and its affordability and its deployability would be a significant amount of challenge also at the same time for many of us. Even though we may want to use technology in the area of audit, even though we may want to use technology in the area of taxation planning for our customers, we may want to use technology in the area of anything that we do, the prohibitory aspect today at this point of time, the lack of bandwidth at our end will probably prevent us to implement some of the major technology related changes which otherwise we can implement in our environment. But I think we are passing through an interesting time wherein solutions are also coming. Even though cumbersome it is, but income tax returns are online. In most of the cases, I think the refunds are coming up in few hours. So this is again, I think, a very happy situation. We have come a long way from many years to just few hours as far as refund of income tax is concerned, though the process is still cumbersome. And that is where somewhere I think we have to blame our own self, our own bureaucracy, wherein I think unfortunately, despite the availability of technology, we are still operating in a rudimentary way, in which I think our laws are still being structured in a old manner. As a result of which, we end up significantly wasting our time on it. But that one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, I think, far more efficient, far more advantageous technology platform that we are using. So, in my viewpoint, again, the technology-led innovations are going to be driving the growth. In fact, I think my investment theme, I keep talking to people that big is getting bigger. In next 10 years, those who have capacity to deliver, those who have sustainable aspect, or those who have sustainability to deliver, those who have the skill set to deliver, I would think those companies would be the next frontiers of growth in our economy and for investors. Imagine a situation wherein banks like HDFC and HDFC Bank combined becoming a 50 lakh crore AUM making or AUM bank, which is in the lending business. If India's economy has to transform to 5 trillion now and 10 trillion in 2035, or 35 trillion in 2047, which is 25 years after, in my viewpoint, I think the banking sector will assume a significant amount of importance and the opportunity would lie there. The bigger banks would be most sought after because I think they have the ability to lend. The smaller banks and NBFCs will have to essentially use the technology platform as a fintech platform. Not that the bigger banks will not use them, but the mid and small size ones will also have to use the fintech platform at the front to expand their reach. And those who could do that, I think they would probably move faster in my view. So the entire game, underlying tone, the message which you can probably take home is one, the big is getting bigger. And the second most important aspect is the disruptions are the order of the day and the changes are happening at a lightning speed. So before you realize, I think your changes have already happened in the system. So be alert, be prepared. This entire world is moving in that direction. Where do you see the investment opportunity? Before that, I think, can I put one more thought in front of you? The way in which I think the disruptions are happening, the way in which I think the speed at which they are happening, my understanding says that in next 10, 15, 25 years, the world is moving in the direction of collaborations and cooperations. There will be less amount of acquisitions, less amount of mergers, but world would probably move more in the direction of collaborations and cooperations. If I am a supplier of a product and if you are a seller of the product, both of us will collaborate and possibly I think we'll try to help each other in this process. We will not get sold out to each other, all of us. I think we'll probably, I think, cooperate with each one of us. That is how I look at it. So this is going to be another big theme for professionals like CA community, wherein you are going to see the collaboration and cooperation ruling the world. And this is going to create an opportunity for you in professional capacity as well, because I think you will be taking role of investment banker or advisor or tax consultant or audit consultant, whatever it may be. which are the sectors and the companies which looks interesting from investment point of view. That will be the last part, I think, of our communication today. Maybe questions thereafter. In my viewpoint, each and every sector assumes a significant amount of opportunity. Earlier days, probably we were having only few sectors working, but because of the heavy lifting done by the government, in my viewpoint, I think the opportunity is across all the sectors. Be it metal as a commodity, be it FMCG items for consumption, be it technology platform for use by the B2B and B2C players, be it complex and specialty generics pharma products which are using technology to the core to come up with a new product delivery. In each of these areas, in my viewpoint, I think the growth is going to be superlatively higher. Defense, for that matter, which will extensively use not only India-based for manufacturing, but also use the technology to basically become effective in the product launches. Railways, which caters to a large part of goods and passenger, is expected to become a significantly large proposition for investment going forward. Other areas like renewable energy, I already talked about, where the innovation levels are, I think, reaching to a newer scale. So, in my viewpoint, I think the economy as a whole is transforming. Individual sector stocks, public forum, I think we normally don't talk individual stocks. But the sectors, according to me, I think would be in limelight are the ones which are connected with consumption and the ones which are connected with technology-led consumption. The ones which are basically connected with the infrastructure-related growth, they would be the ones who would basically be in limelight, be it in defense, be it in railways, be it in any other manufacturing, they would be in limelight. Automobile is passing through a revolutionary phase, wherein, as I explained, the battery and the vehicle would be separated out. Leave aside the autonomous vehicle for the time being, but I think battery and the vehicle will be separated out. That's a new thing which is emerging. So, in my viewpoint, I think the opportunities will be many, plenty, across everywhere. Your choice of selection should stay with the larger company becoming larger, and that's a investment call that you should be taking. Wherein, I think, on a sustainable basis, I think they will produce the return for you on a CAGR, at a CAGR level of higher CAGR level. So, this is my broader subject talk. I believe I have covered most of the points which probably you would have in your mind to cover. But if at all I have missed out some other points, I think we could possibly discuss it out in our question answer session. And Narendra Bhai, I think whatever subject talk that you wanted me to cover, I believe I have been able to do justice in 45-50 minutes of time. Thank you so much. Please go ahead with your question answers if you have any.
Thank you, Devan Bhai, for a lovely coverage with your experience. We have a couple of questions which has come. So I'll just ask you, where the market will go by next December 2023?
So the roadmap is very clear. Today we are an economy of around 3.5 trillion. Our market cap is somewhere around 3.8, 3.9 trillion US dollars. So market cap to GDP is always 1:1 or little above 1:1. 2025-26, we are talking about growing the economy at average rate of around 7.5%. We are talking about creating a size of around $5 trillion economy. So market cap is expected to go above 5 trillion in the coming 4-5 years. So somewhere little less than 4 trillion market cap is expected to, I think, increase 25-30% easily in next 3-4-5 years time. In my viewpoint, I think this is going to be only rising because market cap to GDP ratio is pertinent. It is going to be traveling in the same fashion in which it has been. So suppose if we are $10 billion economy in 2035. And if you are a $35 billion economy in 2037, which is 25 years from now, our market cap should simultaneously increase to that level. So if I have given an answer to you, it's a game of investors who have a lot of patience. This is a wealth creation era. This particular time generally comes only 1 decade or 2 decades in a century. For any country in the past, I think they have experienced this situation. For India, according to me, 2015 to 2035, 20 years is a big theme in which economy is transforming. So those of us who are at the early stage of investment, definitely I think we'll make most out of it. Assuming that I think we have already come 5-7 years down from 2015. Now balance 15 years from now would be the next level of growth, which would possibly generate a significant amount of wealth. So instead of looking at December 2023 for the market levels, start looking at a broader picture, which will allow you to help or which will allow you to invest comfortably over next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. A clear indication for remaining invested for a longer period than the shorter period. One more thing I just wanted to understand, like, you have been continuously talking about blockchain and, technology. Lately what has happened is that as far as many startup companies which have started coming into India, like, which is supporting all these businesses, like, so what do you think the role of small startup companies, bringing up the growth of the country and helping the listed company, like, when we are talking about capital market, it's a listed company, right? And these are all unlisted company. How are they going to match up on, and what do you think the growth story putting both this together, like, in your
So
opinion?
let me make an attempt to, I think, simplify this entire proposition on the startup side. Either the startup can be consumer-facing startup, or a startup can be enterprise-facing startup. It is by experience seen that startups which are consumer-facing startup, they have actually been instrumental in bringing the behavioral change in the consumer far more significantly than I think one would have ever imagined. The classic case is of, I think, the companies like Amazon, Flipkart, JioMart, wherein I think the consumer is habituated to use the online way of doing the commerce.
Okay.
That's a big change which has happened. But the bigger question comes up here that whether those consumer-facing companies as a startup, are they adequately funded for the purpose of producing profits? In case of Amazon included, the direct selling is still not as profitable despite of 25 years of online selling. In fact, Amazon kind of company makes most of their money through cloud services. Amazon Web Services, AWS as they call it as. They make most of their money. Reliance Jio is making most of their money by creating the entire infrastructure on a B2B, 2C basis. They are basically not going to B2C directly as much as they go to Kirana store, and Kirana store in turn would sell it to the end customer. Because they believe that if they adequately take care of the B2B guy, not only they will increase the volume and the revenue, but also they would be in a much better position to control their costs. In retail business, I think your margins are thin. And if you don't control your cost, probably I think you're losing out on that particular aspect, which Reliance Jio kind of company is smartly taking care of their people.
Sure.
Those startups which are basically the enterprise facing startup, those who are basically providing a solution on a B2B basis, which again, I think an example of Reliance I gave it, that if I provide a solution to the doctor for consulting, that means I am a B2B seller and I am not, I think, directly a healthcare company.
Yes.
So this is where again, I think the chances of your survival and success will be higher compared to direct to customer startups. I think the B2B startups who are basically providing the solution and services to the main company, they would have a relatively better chances of survival. They will have relatively better amount of ability. In fact, my understanding says that I think the larger companies, would actually be giving exit to some of the
Startup
some of
companies.
the, service providers companies, and they will also be giving exit to, I think, some of the frontline companies by buy them over. Say for example, tomorrow if the Paytm market capitalization comes down, they become an extremely attractive proposition for somebody to use as a some bank to use them as a front end solution for fintech. They can become an attractive proposition for the banks. That is quite possible. Similar could be a situation with companies like Zomato or Swiggy, wherein I think they could become some food companies, a QSR company, or some retailing company can actually integrate the Zomato and Swiggy platform to their platform. In which case, I think the underlying product will support the last mile delivery,
Yeah.
which currently they are finding it difficult to get. I think because they don't have the backend support of products per se. So, in my viewpoint, I think there are significant amount of opportunities available in startups. And if you understand this simply by creating the startups which are front-ended startup and startups which are enterprise-ended startup, probably chances of you making more money out of the enterprise-ended startup would be very high compared to front-ended startup, because they
Agreed.
might also have the situation of not getting funds when they are making losses. So they may
Very
probably, I think, get out of the drop out of the value chain. So this is where I understand the startup more. In fact, I think the fintech related areas probably I explained at length about depository, at length about the banking, at length about ONDC using the blockchain, that I have actually already explained to you earlier in my conversation.
Yeah, thank you. You have Ujjwal anything to ask?
Yes, sir. You have very well dealt with the topic, and you have in your chat told us that India is a very good growth story with all the things being positive. So, and lot of investors are coming to India. So, what would be a perfect PE ratio considering a very good growth story to India? If because generally the valuations of all companies are
So he's
very
talking
high.
about Nifty P ratio,
Or the index.
The P ratio is also price to earning ratio, and P also is the perception to earning. Okay. The perception to earning remains, I think, completely dependent on how exactly you are encountering the growth situation. Suppose if I am sustainably growing at 7.5% rate of growth, and if I am doubling the size of my economy every 5 years and 6 years, okay, then in such situation, I think I am carrying much higher perception about building the growth, and that is where I deserve to get more amount of P. Similarly, I think the opportunity is in the areas where you are bringing the disruption. Suppose if I am bringing my power cost down by 9 rupees per unit, then I am entitled to get higher amount of P, because the rest of the places in the world people are not doing so.
Correct.
So this is again, I think, a higher amount of P can be assigned to me. Third level of P that can be assigned to me would be in the area of, I think, producing a non-linear growth, an exceptionally higher amount of growth. Suppose if HDFC Bank combined produces 20% rate of CAGR growth for next 4 years, I should be giving them higher amount of valuation, right? Suppose if insurance companies, life insurance companies, they are producing 20% kind of a what you call CAGR growth in new business premium, then they deserve to be given higher amount of valuation as far as I think their embedded value to EBITDA is concerned. So in my viewpoint, I think the industry to industry, the valuation norms would probably be different and on a different scale. Another important aspect that India as a country has been holding lot of promoters' equity. In fact, I think we are average 15% held by the promoters. Right? So as a result of which, we are also getting higher amount of liquidity-driven valuation, because liquidity is less and the demand on the share side is more. So obviously, we are getting more amount of valuation in our in favor of us. In my viewpoint, I think though your question is valid about the valuation, it is not as simple as it is going to be sounding at this point of time. You'll have to work extraordinarily hard and convincing as far as I think taking the bets in your investment portfolio is concerned. And mere underlying story will not work. Some people would say defense would work faster, railways would work faster. But do they know that defense and railways, both of them, have one single largest customer in form of government of India? And if the government is a customer, do you think that the government is very kind enough in paying you the price as a premium? Do you think I think you are going to get a healthy profits without making enough amount of investment into these sectors? All these questions are relevant questions.
Right.
And if you don't apply your mind on this question, then simply assign a PE because the
Simple.
defense is a long-term story or railway is a long-term story. Quite possible you may end up buying something very expensive and you will have to wait for a good period of time to become to find the rationale in that particular expensive valuation. I can again say that I think the subject is sounding simple, but subject is requiring a huge amount of study on the various aspects of the business. In fact, I would always encourage people, investors, to hire somebody's services before making investment. If you don't, then possibility of you losing out on this particular subject would be a big thing.
Yeah, thank you, Jan Bhai, for wrapping up nicely. Thank you very much for your time, and we really enjoyed. Probably we shall look forward for the future happening also with you. Thank you very much, Devan Bhai.
Sure, Narendra Bhai. Sure. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for the opportunity of addressing.
It's always a pleasure having you, sir. We still remember few of your discussions that we had in the past, and people still remember of your very good working as far as Reliance is concerned. We still remember you. Thank you very much, Devan Bhai.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and have a good night. Ujjwal, you can carry on.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Yeah, Ujjwal.
Yes. Now we move on to the next session where we have a session on startups. CA Narendra Mehta would be leading the session. Before we hand over to him, I would like to introduce CA Narendra J. Mehta. He is a fellow member of the ICI and into practice for more than 50 years in the field of banking, finance, and arbitration. He is a mediator and conciliator empaneled with the Mumbai High Court. He has been appointed as the member of committee under MSME sector for startup companies by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for financial year 21-22. He was a committee member of appointed by SEBI for revisiting client broker agreements set up in August 2008 and has been instrumental in bringing sea changes in the format of client broker agreements with effect from March 2010. He's part of the company Venture Catalyst Group, world's second largest incubators, nurturing many good startups, right from their ideas stage to Series C stage. So far, 280 plus companies have been incubated and raised funds, and they have raised funds for more than 220 companies with a very successful exit and the success ratio being more than 90%. With this very brief introduction, I would like to hand over to the speaker, C. Narendra Mehta. We are glad to have you here, and thank you for accepting this invitation.
Yeah, thank you, Ujjwal, for your kind words. Let us quickly go through this thing. This particular session is with reference to startup companies. We are also going to have one startup companies presentation. Before that, I just would like to know the theme of this program is to make yourself a shining diamond through the knowledge of sharing and getting. According to today's program, something like that, I am going to share my limited knowledge on the growth of own wealth, then that of clients. Most of the time, we keep advising to all our clients or their investment strategy and make them wealthy. But we hardly apply the same strategy for our own investment. Now, this is applicable to all professionals like us. Today, I intend sharing alternative investment products or having your own ideas converting into a startup companies. This also has become a talk of the town and being seriously backed by the present government, especially by our Honorable Prime Minister. The government is trying to make same more popular by advancing many benefits to the startup companies. India's startup ecosystem is not a recent phenomena. As shared by Devanbhai, we must have seen that IT companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro place India firmly on the global economic map. These companies invested in technology, leveraged by the country's young and English-speaking workforce to provide cost-effective technology services clients across the globe. The result is an industry that currently employs nearly 4 to 5 million people and generates $200 billion plus revenue. Now, Devanbhai also were saying the same thing, that if the technology which is there with a good workforce and a good sector, probably company can do wonderfully good. Same is the story with an Airtel, which has almost $15 billion revenue as on today. And then the introduction of Jio, which has changed the life of every Indian, be it be literate or illiterate. Imagine everybody, today we have almost 200 crores mobile owned by 140 crore people in India. This is what Jio have done. Similarly, in 90s, we saw ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank. Why I'm talking about this particular bank is that they are in first 5 top banks as on today. Most importantly, that they have fundamentally reshaped every element of Indian banking business model, leading to the betterment of the sector as a whole. And that is why the banks are doing wonderfully good as on today. Presently, India has seen a dramatic acceleration in both the quantum of diversity of startup companies. Over the last 10 years, India has become one of the top 5 startup ecosystem in the world, alongside US, China, the UK, and Israel. Our company today is home of a strong angel investor network, with the sector witnessing active participation from every major venture capitalist or private equity firm. Over the same period, the startup sector has attracted nearly $130 billion of a capital inflow, and it employs about 768,000 people, with the number that rapidly growing and expect to reach investment up to $180 billion by December 2023. Today, India ranks amongst the top 5 in the world. Furthermore, there are more than 800 active incubators, which helps entrepreneurs experiment with new ideas by offering them functional expertise and resources. This recent scale-up of an Indian startup ecosystem is a result of confluence of multiple factors. One, on demand side, there has been a massive explosion of consumer going online, driven by a smartphone, rapid production, and demand. The sheer number of these individuals and their ever-rising income level, coupled with their desire for consumption, makes them highly attractive captive consumer base. Second, on supply side, there has been a massive inflow of a new advanced technology talent the creation of Mercury startup in India has made a business a highly lucrative career beyond the traditional mercantile community. Nearly 60 to 65% of the Indian startup founders and the leaders comes from a premier engineering colleges and business school, such as IITs, IIMs, ISBs, and of course ICAI. This trend has reversed the national's brain drain by not only retaining the best and the brightest in India, but also attracting top quality talent of Indian origin back to India. Now, this is what has happened in last 5 years. The vibrant startup ecosystem we see today is the result of this positive reinforcing mega trends. Funding in 2021 has become very important year for Indian startup industry, as this has changed the concept of investing in alternative investment product like startup companies in India. In addition to above, thanks to Shark Tank program by Sony TV last year, which is getting repeated from 2nd January 2023. It's heartening to note that till September 2022, India had 107 startup companies turned unicorn against 312 unicorns in China, 625 unicorn in USA. It is also to be noted that many of us must have started investing into startup companies since 2020 or 2021, and we experience the company giving a huge returns over a period of 3 to 4 years. One of the company I know which has given 200x within a period of 4 years. Another company within 6 years it has given almost 600 times of the return. Today we have 73,000 recognized startup companies in India, which was hardly 471 in 2016. Whereas in China, there are 15 lakh startup companies, and US it is 12 lakhs startup companies. As on day, the total companies, those who have registered, is approximately 83,000 rupees, and daily at least 80 companies are getting registered under startup company, Startup India. Can you ever imagine the growth of startup companies in India in next 5 to 10 years time, especially considering the population and its demographic situation, which will drive the growth of India to an unimaginable destination, especially with increase of spending by Indians. Think about the convenience of e-commerce marketplace, or the ability to call a taxi or book a room at a click of a button anywhere while paying through a mobile wallet. Consider the benefit of reducing the turnaround time in logistics by 60 to 70%, which clearly comes through a wide range of measurable as well as intangible consumer and business benefits. However, what is not so obvious, how the startup amplify the economic impact of technology at a grassroots level. For example, e-commerce companies such as Amazon, Flipkart have put up a small businessman on an unimaginable platform. BlueSmart, Ola, and Uber have helped thousands of taxi drivers. Oyo have put hundreds of small hotel owners to achieve significantly higher productivity. In this ability to inspire the transformation at the ground level that gives Indian startup a truly unique character. Now, I just want to share few important points for all of us. If we are thinking of investing into startup company, what you should try to look at is conducting a detailed market analysis, identify macro trends, discovering and tracking the emerging spaces, leveraging the analyst research, searching for the companies that are ready for funding or acquisition, researching exit activity of a sponsor-backed companies, comparing fund performance, creating a target list, and researching a specific companies. Like, these are the few points wherein you need to take call if you intend investing into startup companies. But also let me tell you or share with you, now supposing if you want to start your own startup, as we have at least 4 CAs, those who have started their own startup companies and they have done wonderfully good. I can name them at the end of my talk. What is required is that you must be in age of plus 18 years. To apply under this scheme, the company should be a partnership or a private limited company. A proprietor or public limited companies are not eligible under the scheme of startup companies. And annual turnover should be less than 25 crores, right? A few of the CAs which I was talking to you is CA Vishal Sharma, who is started with Adva Risk, Mr. Srirang Tambe, founder and CEO of Origa, which is a lease finance company, Mr. Mohammed Patel, My Fitness, who started with a peanut butter brand and recently has been taken over by Mensa brand and expect to reach a 1,000 crore global brand within a period of 1 year. And last but not least, Mr. Harvinder Singh is a chartered accountant and holds an executive master in international trade from the IIT. He has co-founded Radiowala Network in 2010. He is been doing wonderfully good since then. With this, I come to an end of my explanation with reference to startup companies. Thank you, Ujjwal, and your team of Malad Chamber of Tax Consultant for considering the subject at an appropriate in this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Narendra Bhai. We have time to take question or?
No, I think we'll take up that this thing, one company, is Puneet, you're there? Hello? Puneet?
Yes,
Puneet?
Punja, you can make him an admin. So
yeah, I think you can add him. Yeah, Puneet is there. It's come. Unmute kare jara. Ujjwal, Puneet.
Yeah. Now I can
speak. Yes. Yeah, Puneet. Yeah, Puneet, we can hear you. We have with us Mr. Puneet, who is Puneet Gupta, who runs a good company called Clanstar. And he would like to share his views with reference to his company and also explain that how the startup company, comes up and what best can be done with reference to his company. Over to you, Puneet.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity for sharing our journey. And I think with your permission, do you want us to give the broader perspective of startup companies, or do you want us to give you a brief?
No, we would like to hear your own journey with your own company. If you can explain that in detail, that would be an ideal thing because it's a live example that is in front of us.
Right. So I think Yash from the team is also on call. If you can enable him also, maybe we'll take you through the deck. But by the time Yash will share the presentation, I will give a brief to everyone that, what is our background we have and what as a Clanstar we are doing. I think that will give a broader perspective. So like I've been hearing a lot of stories. Definitely the whole idea building the company is largely to solve a major problem in the ecosystem. And I think when you look at Clanstar, that was a really important matter because, I spent almost 15 years now in a product first company, and therefore was building Cleanstar to solve a larger problem in a healthcare setup. We are largely known in India for our technology called waterless bathing. And the idea was actually because of my previous venture, I spent a lot of time in defense, where I've seen not only India, globally, all defense and healthcare professional had been facing a huge challenge, not be able to take a bath because of they do not have access to water. So I think we onboarded IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi in India accepted our project to build a deep tech company in the space. And we realized, I think, being a consumable kind of a products which has recurring business, once you establish in one market to other market, it has, long way to go. And we realize that we need to build number of technology to solve a larger problem in the ecosystem. And the first flagship product which we introduced with the help of waterless technology called waterless body bath and shampoo. The whole idea was to defend soldiers who were not in the position to take bath for as long as 90 days. Can they take bath without water? I think that was a starting point. So just to give you a little background, since I spent some time in defense and seen their journey, and you would agree here that many of us, even if we don't get an opportunity to take a bath for 2 days, it is very difficult. So therefore the whole thing was planned. And 2016 my mother went for a knee surgery. I think that gave a trigger point that we really have to start. So this waterless bathing technology was primarily using people can take bath without water. And we as a team was thinking that when we have a mindset of building a technology in a formulation based, why can't we have and solve larger problem for consumers in India and international market? And I think that is how our journey started. Soha Ali Khan we onboarded last year as a brand ambassador. We got a lot of visibility post that. And I think we'll take you through a little bit journey, what all, we have been trying to do. As a mission, we are trying to, seek a better way of providing value through innovation. And I think in upcoming slide that you'll get to know how we have been trying, the innovative categories are providing value to consumers. And with the little bit commercial vision that how we are going to capture 5 crore households with at least 5 crore products in the next 5 years. I think that is a vision we have. Some of the pillars, which we are completely focused is sustainability, thoughtful, and we have integrated nature and technology. We have realized when you look at any of the category, which do exist in this space, we see that, maybe people have been scaling very fast, growing, 50 to 100% year on year. But I think we were thinking couple of things are very important to solve a larger trust issue in the ecosystem. And therefore, all these 3 pillars we have built, and we are focused every product we introduce. These are the highly important parameters which we consider. Maybe Yash, would you like to give a broader perspective to the vision which we have and take them through a journey a little bit?
Sure. So hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. So this is the dream that we have. We want to create a better tomorrow for everyone, where every individual we're able to take care of their every need, whether it's their own body, their homes, the environment around them, the water they drink. And we will do this through efficacy and innovation. We will do this through value chain ownership, because it's very important to understand, in the FMCG space, we have largely Me Too products where all the companies essentially have the same formulation and they are essentially marketing companies, right? For us, we are a technology company. We're an R&D company. Our genesis is at IIT Delhi, and each and every product that we manufacture, the formulation is made by us at our lab at IIT Delhi. So that's how we plan to differentiate from the cluttered players in the market. This is the team we have. So Puneet, of course, he's the founder, he's the CEO. Apart from that, we have relevant people everywhere, whether it's Ankit and Himanshu who are driving growth and business, whether it's Dr. Ankita Arora, who's an IIT PhD. She's the, she's the voice of all of the research that we do. And I myself, I have deep exposure in the corporate space. I've lived in Bombay for 3-4 years, working at the Mahindra Group in corporate strategy, working directly with Anand sir also. So that's the sort of background we have in the team. On the board of directors, sir, one very important name is Professor Anurag Rathod, who's the director of the company. He's also one of the earliest investors of the company. He's the head of Department of Chemical Engineering at IIT Delhi. And he's the reason we were able to get incubated at IIT Delhi. Apart from this, a very popular name that you may know of is Cyber Media Chairman, Mr. Pradeep Gupta, who is also a listed company on the stock markets. So he's also part of the larger ecosystem we have around us. So I request Puneet to now quickly explain the technologies that we have, and you'll get a broader idea of what kind of work we're doing here.
So I think the whole idea is, as a company, we have built various technologies, and to give you a larger perspective, when you look at a Microsoft Windows or Android as a platform, people have seen such tech largely on a fintech or other spaces. But I think our space also has such opportunity where we are actually, I think we would be the first one to capitalize it. For example, when I say waterless, the whole waterless technology, which is now secured for 152 countries, including US, Canada, UK, idea is anywhere where water is being used, we can replace that. So we introduced initially a head bathing products in a healthcare setup, but eventually people have asked, guys, can you do a body bathing also without water? Then Government of India given a grant of 50 lakhs. They said, guys, it is important. Can you do a waterless toothpaste also? And now, so tomorrow, if you ask, can you actually develop something where you can wash clothes without water? So the idea here is, in our space, we can very much work on such any of the product because our base technology is ready, the process is ready. So we can quickly and agile enough to use this in multiple areas. Now coming back to other technology called transdermal, which is safe transdermal absorption. So which is STAR. The whole idea is when you buy any personal care product in the ecosystem, people have been promoting vitamin C face wash. The whole idea is vitamin C is not even soluble in water, and the ingredient size is bigger than your pore size. So therefore, it hardly works. I don't know why people have been promoting like this. So therefore, it is really important. I mean, to give you another analogy, if I'll give you a paracetamol where I'm not defining a right concentration, which is required for your body to reduce the temperature like 500 milligram or 650 milligram, the whole paracetamol is going to waste because 200 milligram won't work. So therefore, we are trying to solve the level of trust in the ecosystem with the introduction of a right product, with the right ingredient, with the right concentration. And we are agile enough to quickly build a product which are around these technology. For example, when you look at a STAR, now winter was coming up, team was agile enough, they created a product called warming lotion, which will increase your body temperature. Now, let it be India, we've already got a lot of interest from US defense, apart from Indian defense. So, though it's a consumer product, but I think there are larger use cases around it. And likewise, all these technologies are built up for catering daily consumer needs. These are the some indicative products which we actually has developed against each technology. These are highly successful. Adoption has come, repeatability has come, and now companies doing sufficient revenue. I mean, on a ARR level, we've already reached to 36 crores annual basis, and scaling, month on month as a business. So some of the category, these are the products which we have highlighted. So this is our lab at IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi is one of the early shareholder at Clensta, and against their investment, we got our access to a laboratory where our team initially, of course, we had an office in the campus itself, but now whatever is required, we go and visit and develop and formulate. The process which we have adopted is largely we ideate, formulate, till the time we file patent, and then we go to a market. So this is a broader structure. And therefore, you look at a competitor mapping, so where, you will find you will find either a products which are herbal based or a technology based. The point is, when you look at a herbal as a product, to be honest, I also appreciate herbal, but there is no quantification possible. Tulsi can kill bacteria, Tulsi can use to kill bacteria, but eventually you really need to have a quantification done, then only your problem will be cured. So therefore, there is a huge space when you look at high TAM versus diversified business channels, or even a high technology involvement where high, ecological commitment. So I think apart from the other brand who have scaled up already, let it be a Wow Skin Science or Mamaearth or M Caffeine or Bella Vita, I think we are placed very well, where we can see definitely a huge success in upcoming years, the kind of a growth pattern which we are following.
This is the plan we have for complete pre and post purchase engagement. So when you come to buy the product, there's a AI face scanner which can, analyze your skin, which can tell you that, look, these are the problem areas, these are your dark circles, this is the wrinkles on your skin. And then, suggest the right products and say that, look, these are the products you need to purchase to solve your problems, right? Now, this is first of its kind. No one is doing this. The second and even more important part, very few players are doing this across the world, where, today you use a product, but do you know that the product works? For example, when you have a fever, you can use a thermometer to see, okay, my temperature has come down from 100 degrees to 98 degrees, right? But in case of the products, can you ever tell that, okay, my skin was 90% oily, now it is less oily than before? ये सब हम सिर्फ perceive कर सकते हैं through looking in the mirror, but what we are introducing is a way for people to be able to measure it. For every product that we sell, we will give strips to the customers, and these strips can be used to measure the efficacy of the product, right? This we think will be a game changer. It will help us retain customers. It will help us build in customer stickiness. It will help us increase the basket size and order value of customers. And that's why we're doing this. This is the way we conduct business. So it's a completely omni-channel model where we're available at general trade, regional model trade, some multi-brand outlets. We are obviously have a complete online presence from our own website to all the other marketplaces. And we keep onboarding new marketplaces every week, every month. Currently, we're looking to get introduced in Swiggy Instamart, for example, in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. And lastly, we also do some amount of institutional business, which I'll explain in greater detail. So these are some big partnerships we have with large organizations, right? You might have heard of USAID. USAID is the NGO arm of the US government, right? Now they essentially conduct projects in developing countries. They have given us a grant of 1.5 crores because they feel that our products are important to maintain hygiene in tier 2, tier 3 locations, which are typically under-penetrated markets, right? Then the other two partnerships are with large export-oriented organizations. For example, Seed Group is run by one of the private offices of the royal family members of Dubai. They are inviting us to partner with them and scale in the entire MENA region. So they will grant us market access. They will help us meet the right contacts, right locals, right distributors to grow our business in the Middle East. Then there is Exim Bank of India. Exim Bank is joining the cap table in this round of funding, where they are contributing an equity of 1 crore and a grant of 50 lakhs. And this is under a Government of India program called Ubharte Sitare, which identifies company with good export potential. So effectively, it is like the Government of India is joining the cap table of Clensta in this round. This is the international regulatory approvals we have. So we have US FDA registration. We have NATO approval, Saudi FDA, DUNS number, which is required for any company which wants to do business in the US, right? And because of all of this, this is the size of the market we are chasing. We are not just looking at the Indian market for the waterless products. We are looking at a much larger global market because waterless has a straight use case in the defense and healthcare sector. And if it has a use case in the defense and healthcare sector of India, it obviously has a use case in the defense and healthcare sector of all countries of the world, right? And which is why we're trying to slowly deepen our presence there. Up till now, we've been servicing inbound requests because we go and present at a lot of trade fairs, at a lot of, international conventions, where when we've gone, people have told us, okay, your product is interesting, send us a consignment. And now we're actively looking to build on this after this round of funding on the entire export piece. So this is the overall business story of Clensta, everyone. We have a typical FMCG sort of value chain, which is around manufacturing, product, marketing, and scaling. Manufacturing, we tell you, we are different. We've tried to establish a significant moat in all these 4 parts of the value chain. Manufacturing, we are better because we control our own formulations. Our products are definitely much more innovative than most products in the market, which are Me Too products. On a marketing front, because of the product efficacy, because of the pre and post purchase engagement, we'll be able to drive all the metrics in a better way. And from a scaling or sales point of view, we are a truly omni-channel company, and we have organic export demand and not cultivated export demand, which again cannot be said for a lot of young Indian startups. This is our number story. So we did 18 crores last year. We're looking to do 36 crores this year. In the first 7 months from April to October, we've already crossed our last year's revenue. So we will comfortably hit this number of 36 crores this year. EBITDA margins are, EBITDA margin is currently negative, will be positive in another 15 months or so. Our gross margin goes up to 85% at a product level. This is a deep dive into the unit economics. So gross margin is very high when we sell online. It's a little low when we sell offline because we give steep discounts to super stockists. As we keep scaling, as we keep growing, these gross margins will become even more attractive. This is the fundraise round that we're trying to do currently. We have a valuation of 150 crores, at which we're raising an equity of 15 crores and a debt of 30 crores. Most of this amount is already subscribed, and we're looking for, some small investments to close the round. Essentially, this is the big picture. This is the money slide. This is what will interest everyone in this group, which is that last year, this time we had an MRR of 1 crore. Now we have an MRR of close to 3.5 crore, which is monthly run rate, right? At this MRR, if we apply a multiple of 4 to 5 times, we arrive at our current valuation of 150 crore. In 15 to 18 months, with the help of this fundraise, we'll be able to move to an MRR of 15 crores or so, which will give us an annualized revenue of 200 crore. Currently, we all know that the market for Indian startups is very poor, which is why multiples have fallen, right? But if the multiples increase even a little bit to the range of 7 to 10x, we'll be looking at a 2,000 crore company in Clensta, right? And just to give you an example of this, Mamaearth was, when it was valued as a unicorn, as $1 billion company, its revenue was just 500 crores, which means it was valued at 14 times. The multiple was 14x, right? And we are considering a very modest multiple of 7, 8, 10x, which will give us 2,000 crore or $250-300 million valuation, right? And this is how we plan to, plan the next round when in the subsequent round, a larger VC investor will take interest in the company and put in a check of, say, $15-20 million. Mergers and acquisitions is something we've always been approached by, but we've rejected them because we want to grow the company on our own. But for example, we had an offer from Godrej to merge with them, but we chose not to do that. Of course, once we hit EBITDA positivity in 15 months or so, we'll start building up to the possibility of having our own IPO as well, right? Which will not be difficult once a company is profitable. That's it, everyone. This is some of the digital library of awards, etc. we won. We've been appreciated on live TV by the ex-president of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind, and by Modi ji also in a live TV program. Yes, thank you, everyone. And thank you for your time. And we're happy to take any questions.
Maybe just want to add before we end the slide that we as a company plan to raise 45 crores in this round, and almost 40.44 plus has been subscribed. So there was little allotment, and I was in discussion with Narendra ji, and therefore we had been in the opinion that let us also present this opportunity to other investors. And I think with that thought, we have reached to you guys. But happy, as we said, would like to take up any questions, if any.
Ujjwal?
Yeah. Yes. So We had one question actually from the group is how do you pitch for funds as in say if we are a very startup at a first stage. So how has your journey been with respect to raising funds? So how have you approached people right from say scratch to what you have come today?
So basically, see, I come from a background where I have dealt a company from 0 to 500 crores. So, anyways, as a founder, I have exposure to work with investment bankers, let it be Big Four, PwC, EY, or other large investment bankers who are actually helping to bring VC money. And coming from a IIM Calcutta as a background, a lot of my friends have scaled a companies like a Swiggy, and we have seen, a larger billion-dollar companies. So from the ecosystem, definitely people who had been trusting me as a Puneet Gupta joined early hands, definitely. But now we have reached to a stage where in a larger round, we have already, onboarded a Big Four for helping us to close our larger round, which is in the process of $20 million. I think the journey has been smooth, definitely so far. And since there are many people who are on the cap table already, and you must have seen, people have been instrumental for building a larger merger and acquisition. For example, Rishabh Mehta was instrumental for the deal with acquisition of a Nike LBB with Nykaa. So I think there are right set of people on the board who are advising which fund is relevant for our kind of a company. One, two, people have seen what are the merger acquisition possibilities are there. People have raised money through IPO, and as a team of Clensta also on the people on a leadership team has worked in various environments. Let it be Pankaj, who's spent 7-8 years with EY, and Ankit, who raised his Series A from the SAF partners and joined company back, or Himanshu, who has sold his brand to Myntra. I think it's a very skill set of a people. Every skill we have already onboarded, and with the experience of our team as well as industry exposure, we are utilizing that to basically for building a next round of it.
Yeah, Ujjwal, one this thing has been kept on a chat for that attractive discount, like you can share with all the
Yes, sir.
members.
So someone
Yeah,
was asking
yeah.
me if we are available on Amazon. We are definitely available on Amazon, but I would really request you to come to our own website, clensta.com. Let's not pay Amazon commissions, right? And instead
Okay.
come to our own website. We have a coupon investor 50. You can use this coupon. You can see how the order experience is. You can take a judgment call. And of course, investor 50 will give you 50% discount on all the products as well. तो आप भी कमाते हैं, हम भी कमाते हैं, हम Amazon को नहीं कमाने देते हैं, है ना?
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Ujjwal, you can share with all the members or on our this thing, on our group.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is
So
what is available. Yeah.
you can share us your presentation of the product. So we will share amongst our members who are not present here, but still may want to take the benefits of the products. Yes.
Right, right. So the website will have full details. You just need to send them
Sure.
two things.
Sure.
Clensta.com and the code is investor50, and the website is like a e-commerce website. It's very state of the art. You can read about the product, understand the benefits, do everything on the website itself.
Puneet, last but not the least, if you can just share your roadmap here on once your this round is almost full, right? What's your roadmap over a period of 3 years or something like that? If you have something in it.
Sir, I think it's a typical journey which we are taking it up. We have reached to a stage of pre-series B, and there are a lot of leads which we have already for the larger round. The idea is with this money, there is a decent order book. We would like to service that order book, raise our revenue, build our presence. In this round, one of the Indian celebrities joining our cap table, Mrunal Thakur. She has been in Bahubali kind of a movie or Super 30. I think now
Also been in Marathi movies, yeah.
Yeah, she's been, very popular face, have a large followership. The idea is so far company had been definitely spending money on performance. but you will start seeing our advertisements slowly on the media, on the newspaper and the other radio channels. I think in next 3 years, the idea is to build Cleanstar as a trustworthy brand where people can actually blindly trust and buy, because we've seen people have a larger issue of a trust in such kind of a purchases, and bringing a lot of market first product. I think we anyways have a very strong positioning in the market that whatever Cleanstar brings, people do understand that there is some unique feature which we are building. So every quarter we have always a thought in our mind to introduce something logical and introduction, a new kind of a product. Some few months ago, we introduced this product, which is pigeon repellent. I think Mumbai, like a place which is very much, high rise and very much user friendly. It just spray and repel pigeons. And likewise, now winter is coming. We have introduced a product called body warming lotion. So in upcoming months, I think upcoming year, one is definitely to work on our number and scale to increase our presence from not only our own website and marketplaces, but yes, in our general trade store, modern trade store. We are in the conversation in the last round from the Kishore Biani's office. People have invested. So therefore, a lot of opportunity in offline, also scaling it up, which companies pursuing, DMart and others. Because of our waterless bathing technology, lot of interest has come from the international market. We have done some pilot in US and UAE. Royal family is investing in this round. I think therefore we see some export happening, in upcoming months. So I think in a nutshell, if you ask me, one is increasing little bit export potential, building a brand, and scaling our business into various vertical and distributing a revenue stream from various division, so that company can fund some part of growth ourselves, and before we go for a larger round of equity, which is in the process. And I think in 3
Yeah,
years
you can.
yeah.
Sorry to cut you, but there's a question that somebody's asked with reference to. Basically, my question was from investors' point of view. What's your roadmap? And there is a question like from Mr. Nitin. Can we get a shares equity as a small investor? So if you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that is a point. Since the round is open, sir, and as I said, 99% round is subscribed. So whosoever will invest, they will part of this round, and they will be captured on the cap table. And maybe from the SNR team will handle those investors definitely.
Sure.
And they will be issued equity shares with this round itself, and we will close our SHA once the round is closed.
Okay, right. Thanks. Any other question, Ujjwal, you have?
No, sir, it was wonderful hearing from them.
Yeah. So is a minimum investment is what?
What would be the minimum investment? Is the
so we would recommend definitely at least 10 lakh as an investor who's coming on a cap table. Since I believe we don't have a structured fund, maybe, team is in the process. So that is what we request investors. I mean, apart from money, I think largely I was into discussion with Narendra Mehta, sir. A lot of opportunity where when you look at a Canada, US, UAE, where company has already signed agreements and scaling it up and the pilot has been done. I think larger than money, we see some, advices, local help from the people who've been staying and help us to grow in that market as well. So we as a company, of course, backed up by IIT, we are product creators, and that is what the whole idea is. But there is no harm involving, other members who can actually help us to scale also in the different region, or maybe if some help is required, they can contribute and help us to scale.
Thank you. Thank you, Puneet, for a nice wrap up. Really wonderful to see a different innovation, probably a different product by itself. Sector looks attractive. Let's see what best can be done. And we'll come back on that on the basis of whosoever have attended, come back on that, and we will let you know as early as possible. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you. All the best for the future, and hope we will see that you go for an IPO by 2025, maybe in the interest of investors. My idea is always to share this type of startup companies for the investors who can really make good money, looking at the team and looking at their traction, like, over a period of time.
Sir, before you end, I just want to highlight, we were just calculating internally with the finance team. From the first equity investor, which is like 3 years time, the company has given IRR of 93%.
Oh, wonderful. That's
so-
wonderful. That's
So
very good.
the whole idea is, I think the stage which we are in, I would definitely see, I think some part of money can help us to scale faster. And
Sure.
we are at that stage, I think, where this
Right.
contribution can, reach to our places again, to multiple places.
Yeah. I mean,
So
this is
just
exactly
one
what
more- just
our
one more
earlier.
point here. Sorry, Narendra, this is just one more
Yeah.
point here. It's always important to note that the 0 to 1 journey is as time consuming or as difficult as the 1 to 10 journey, right? So I
That's
think
always
0
there.
to 1 journey is done. Now is time. If we've given 100% IRR till now, we will give 500% IRR going forward. That's the promise.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So there's some question on many senior citizens also, especially who are bedridden, can use this waterless product.
Yes, sir,
Right.
absolutely.
Yes, I
Definitely,
think
sir.
you
I
can.
mean, definitely.
Yeah. This is
So
another.
that's a whole market, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
home care and lot of market which we see, adventure enthusiast, and likewise in US, NHS, UK government invited me. I was part of a delegation, so we were one of the winner. So they are considering that. NASA is considering this. So
Okay,
we
yeah.
see a global opportunity, not only Indian standpoint, but there are many opportunity.
Sure. Yeah. Any question from participant? Or we'll close for the day. It's already 8 past.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I-
Ujjwal, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it was a wonderful presentation we have got. With this, so we have already short past time. I would like CA Kavit Gadia to propose a very hearty and well-deserved vote of thanks. Over to you, Kavit bhai.
Thank you, Ujjwal bhai. I, CA Kavit Gadia, on behalf of Malad Chamber of Tax Consultant. I would like to thank Narendra Mehta sir for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with the knowledge on startup, and also the Puneet Gupta for sharing their journey as a startup, how they've got the incubator and the seed funding and all the things. So we are pretty sure that this precious knowledge that gave us will definitely help us for our clients to guide them for startup journey. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ujjwal
Kavit,
bhai. Thank you. Narendra bhai.
Kavit, I would like to share one more thing. Now, last sentence you said that you will share this with your clients. I would say, why don't you yourself do it for your investment, which is very important. Like, because, on our advice, clients make huge amount of money. Ultimately, we keep on advising to the client, but we don't act, that was my opening remark, and I wish every professional must keep this in a mind, that whatever you are sharing with your investor, your clients, you also try to put something on your own
Sure.
thing also, because we
Sure,
hardly spend time for ourselves.
No, sure, sir, sure.
Yeah,
We will also
correct,
give
correct.
our
Yeah.
investment.
All the best. Thank you very much. Thank you, Puneet.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, all the participants too. Bye.